Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kyle Davis. Before we get started with the webinar, I do want to mention that this is going to be recorded and it will be posted to the YouTube channel. And also on your control panel there is a question and answer session. If you have any questions during the webinar, go ahead and post the question there. If it's covering what I'm at the time, I will potentially answer it at the time, or I'll wait till the end to answer any questions. So again, welcome to today's webinar. This webinar is going to be covering managing your license installations through the Autodesk Accounts page. The reason for this webinar is the new licensing setup that Autodesk has introduced with the subscription licensing, whether it's multi-user or the term licensing or single user. This changes how you manage those licenses a little bit from previous the perpetual licenses, where it's just how you go about it is a little bit different. This is what we're going to be covering in this webinar, this outline of going through the page and going into details of what each of the pages mean, using the products and services, the product updates, some reporting features, devices, users, whether adding users or editing access, and then changing filters to change how you see the page. We have on the editing, on the filter access, we actually have that with a few other options as well. So I'll be showing some filtering through the other pages as well, not just the user's page. So let's get into it. The first thing is the web address is the manage.autodesk.com. You can also go to autodesk.com. In the upper right hand corner there is a little profile where you can sign in, and then when you click that sign in you can also then say go to manage account, and then this will take you to this page here that you see on screen where you have products and services, and you'll see a list of every single one of your products that you own, your company owns based on your contracts. There's a couple things with this one that we have seen that I just definitely want to talk about to make sure you understand what's going on here. This page will only show you when you log in as the contract manager or as a user, it will only show you products that you have access to based on who is the contract manager and who has assigned you access to see that product. For example, we've had several companies that have changed names, changed contract manager, and so on. And in turn, when they purchase a new license or they have a license that they switch over, there are times that they come into the page here and they don't see a product listed that they own. And most likely the reason for that is because the serial number for that particular contract is hosted under someone else as the contract manager. So we have seen this several times, and to resolve this we would recommend that you would contact your account rep here at CTC. We can then reach out to Autodesk to get that corrected and switched over to whoever you need for the contract manager. Now again, this is through Autodesk that they have to go through. There's nothing on the web page that you can manage that. It's all done through Autodesk management. And with the levels of, I got the question here which I was about to go over, which is great. What levels of access are there? Contract manager controls all. Yes, the contract manager has control over everything. Has access to view all the products that they own. They have access to manage who can see what. Normal users will only see access to the ones that they've been assigned to. So if you assign someone access to download that particular software, it will show up in their page. But if you don't give them access to download at all, they log in for products, they may just get a few other things like the 360 mobile or some of those other things that are not really much of a software. It's just a plug-in or an extra thing that they can use, but they won't see the product themselves. And the other question that just came up from this too, software coordinators. I will be getting into the users in a little bit as well, but yes, software coordinators see pretty much the same as the contract manager, as long as the contract manager has assigned the software coordinator that role. There is some restrictions that the software coordinator may not get that the contract manager does. So there is some other management that contract manager has. But for the most part, software coordinator is very, very similar. Now, one thing I wanted to show here, I have my second page. When you expand the product listed on that page, you will get access to see the serial numbers. You have access control. So here on screen, you can see what versions you have access to, what's the type of licensing, what is the seat count, and you'll see the serial number here. I have it blanked out for privacy reasons. This is our serial number, so I have blanked out. But you have also access to look at the 17 serial numbers and 16. Now we're using network license here, so you can see in the screen it says included with network license. So if I was to generate a network license file, you would see those 17 and 16 in there as well. Even 15 and 14 will be in there. But with standalone or the term licensing, you will see the serial number for each year. And if it's a standalone and you click on the 17, there will be an option that says get serial number. And when you click get serial number, this will generate a serial number and give you access to 2017. And same thing with 16 and under. You have to click that get serial number if it's a new product that you never had upgraded from a previous version. If you just bought it, you have to come in here and say get serial number to get that to work. Now that's the single user term licensing that you have to do that. Network license or multi-user is simply just generate a license file and it will have those licenses in it. Also in this page here, this is where you can, at the very bottom, you can have some information such as help downloading, help installing, enhancements, and view updates. So that would be at the bottom. That'll be at the bottom of the page here. This is also right here. You can click to hit the downloads to get that version. And this will take you to the download of it, where I want to discuss a few things about the download as well. Now, with the product updates, there's on the left-hand side there will be the all products and services, and then product updates. With product updates, this gives you a list of every single update for your software. But however, when you're back in the all products and services portion, and you click updates and add-ins, it's only going to show you the updates for that tool that you have expand. So it'll show you only Revit. Now it will, if you expand Revit, and it will show you all the updates for each year. So if you're looking for a particular update for one of your softwares, you have a couple of locations to go. You can go on the products and services page, or you can go to the product updates page and be able to list them here. Now with this, I do want to switch over and show you kind of a little bit of what the page looks like with the product updates. That when I go into the product updates, there will be some filtering options that you can use to select what you want in that huge list. So I do think it's a little bit easier going to the tool itself, not through here. But download selected, or ignore selected. So if I select multiple of these updates, I can hit download selected and download them all at the same time. Instead of one at a time, download, download, download. Now also in here, when I hover over it, there is an option over on the right hand side to ignore this update or download. So if ignore, you won't need to worry about it. It will just kind of ignore it. So you don't have to have your users or you see that update all the time. So here, if I expand it, it kind of gives you a description of what it's for. And if it's an update, you will see the release notes about it, such as what the update is fixed. So I'm going to come up here to the filters icon, and you could filter by what it is. So if I wanted to filter by a particular product, I go down to products, and then I can find my software that I want to look for. In this case, I'm going to grab Revit. And I'll see all the options here, and then here's the update. So here last month, the 2017.2.3 update. If I expand that, get the information about it, and if I do the review release notes, this will actually go to a page that talks about how to install this, what it's going to do, what information about what build. There's also a content consult on the release notes to what it fixed. And when you go to the release notes, this will actually give you a fix for every single update that's been released for that software. And if you expand them, you'll get the information of what this update fixed. Now, the next portion of the accounts page is the reportings tab. These are on the left-hand side that you can click on, so the products and services, and then reporting. And for the reporting, this will give you access to review your cloud services usage. And in this particular case, I have on my screen I have the cloud credits here, and then I have an individual use. So this will be how many been used for me that I've used for cloud credits versus the shared cloud credits, where I can come in here and see how many of the shared credits are being used. But also you will get a list of every single individual user that you have on your contract that you have listed under your company. You'll see their usage as well for the individual. So once they get to the individual finish of the individual, they get the shared cloud credits. And then in the list over here, you could also say by user to only see the users in here. So if I go back to the page here and go to reporting, I got my shared credits, and then I could say by users and get a list of how many credits each user has used. So here I see Chris has used up all his individual, but he still has shared that he could use that has not been used on this contract. But I got a list of a ton of other people that have not used their individual cloud credits yet. So it's just getting us some small usage of cloud services. This is not reporting on other things. It's just the cloud credits. The next portion of the accounts page is the devices. And devices is very handy for knowing where your activations might have been installed, based on the user in previous for the term licensing and for the perpetual licenses. This is kind of one that would help kind of identify where that license is and was it updated, how long has it been checked in. So we have a few in here that the last update it was in this year, but then the status has been offline, so it hasn't been updated in a while. And then all the other ones have checked in at least so that we know where they are. So it's just a help of knowing where these licenses might be. And then you also do have the ability to export that list so that you can save it out to Excel and then be able to use it there instead of in the web page here. Now the next biggest portion is the users. This is where all the managing really happens for who has the licenses and so on. So on the users page, you have a bunch of options in here to be able to control access. You have the ability to add users. You have the ability to edit access and assign users to a product and service and some benefits. So to show what this looks like, I'll go into mine. And on the users button, it's the two people icon on the left. So right here is the ad, and if I hit the expand, I have to type in the email address of the user and first and last name. Now, if they already have a Autodesk ID, and the Autodesk ID is based on their company email address, so if it's at yourcompanyname.com or .net or whatever, you just put in that information here, and Autodesk, for the most part, has been able to have that user come into your account and be associated with your contract. As long as that email address kind of matched, it seemed to work. But if they had an Autodesk ID from a previous company and they had some changeovers, they changed the email address, that's where we have been seeing some small issues carrying over to the new company because the Autodesk ID was associated to the previous company, so it has some issues of managing here. And again, if you have any issues with that, you can contact your account rep here at CTC, and they can contact Autodesk to get that resolved as well. But there's also a few other options in here, this ad, such as bulk ad. What's really nice about this is that you can paste a list of users and emails. And it gives you some formatting down here that you would want to use for that email. So copy the username and then the email address and so on. And the nice thing is right after you go to add, either do a single ad user or a bulk ad user, you can have this little check here of like to add access to the user now or users now. So when you save, this will actually pop up the edit access window right away where you can assign access to that user as soon as you add. The nice thing about it with the users portion here, when you have multiple users, you're editing access for all the users at one time rather than having to edit each individual user at a time. You're editing a bulk. Now, when it does come up with the edit access, you have the option here for all the users. So I'm going to come down to my name here, and I'm going to edit access to show you what this looks like. So in this window here, we have a couple of tabs across the top that limit what you see in the list below. All shows you everything. Benefits only shows you that, and products show you those. So the first one for benefit is product downloads. Here, perpetual products only. If you assign access, this will give them access to download the software. Product updates and support, if I expand that benefit, there is an option of assigning access to product updates. If this is unchecked, they don't get access to updates. You have to install them for the user instead of through the Autodesk desktop app. So if I actually hover over it, you can see here Architectural Desktop. This is where you can install those updates for those. And then under the products, this is where you assign access to that particular product, whether it is an individual software or the AEC collection or the product design collection. You get to assign access to that. And if I hit the expand on some of these, there is other benefits as well for that particular product. For example, if I expand Revit, I give them a service of storage, so they get the A360 drive storage there, the structural analysis for Revit, Insight, Green Building Studio, they get render access, they get Insight for the lighting and energy analysis. Now, if you want to assign them the product but not one of these other features, you simply uncheck that particular feature. So if you don't want your architects to be doing structural analysis, you can uncheck the structural analysis. Or MEP, or for the lighting, you want to do those. Other products don't have as much to them. So if I come up here to like AutoCAD, they don't have as much here, but you do have the storage, rendering, and mobile. AutoCAD LT, same thing. You have the access to a few things. Now, when you're assigning access and you do hit the save, this should give access to the user for that particular product to use it. Now, if it's the single user term licensing, you have to assign the user access to a product. So you purchase it or you switch to it. This now switches to make it where you, as a contract manager or a software coordinator, have to assign access to that product. So you come in here and you give them access. And then when they go and open the software, they're going to sign in to their Autodesk ID that has been given access, and the software should just work. There have been times where, depending on what button you click, certain things happen. For support reasons, I've had it where you click sign in, you sign in with the ID, and for some reason it doesn't work. However, if you hit enter serial number, all of a sudden it works. Even though you don't have to enter the serial number, it just kind of works. I don't know what causes that. I would have to talk to Autodesk on that one, but every now and then you have to choose one of those options. Now, for multi-user license, for the term licensing, this is still like the network where you have to create a license file on a server and use it there. The only thing that you're doing here is assigning access to the other stuff for the rendering or storage for that user to have with a network license. So you can come in here and assign users for that. But if you don't assign them access to multi-user, if you don't assign access, they still get it if they can talk to the server. So it's still very similar to network license. Now also, one other thing I forgot to mention with this assigning access, when you first purchase a product, the AEC collection or any of the single products, one thing that always happens is the license automatically gets assigned to you as the contract manager, at least one of the seats. So if you purchased a 5-seat multi or a single user license, you get 5 seats of it. One of them will be assigned to you as the contract manager automatically. So what you would want to do is you would come into your account. If you're not going to use that serial number, you come into your account, you remove access from yourself and give it to someone else. This is just by default how Autodesk did it. Now when you're in this page here as well, for the options, you do have the options to, when you expand it, you get all the options here of seeing what products they currently have access to, but also have the ability to select multiple users by a little checkbox and then do actions of editing access to all those users at the same time. So right here I popped up and now I'm editing access for all these users that now I can assign all 5 users this license. So it makes it easy where you don't have to assign a license to each individual user. You simply come in here and give access by selecting the group you want and assign access. There is also some filter options where you can come in here and pick what particular products you want to see in the list. The one I really like is if I come down here and say access by contract and I pick that contract, it's only going to show me the users that currently have access to that contract. So if I check this and I only saw one person in here, that means that only one person had access to a product. We only have one contract, so I still see everyone, and everyone's been assigned. But I can come up and narrow down who has product updates. So here currently only 4 users have access to product updates. So it's going to filter the list dramatically here. And also roles. So here I have end users, software coordinator, and contract manager. And if I say software coordinator, this is going to show me the software coordinators. And it shows 3, but I still see everyone. So I don't know if that is broken or not, but we have those options.